He didn't want attention. He didn't want headlines. He wanted silence. Between the years 2001 and 2012, a man moved like a ghost across the United States, executing a plan so patient and so meticulous that no one even knew it was happening. He wasn't a drifter, not in the traditional sense. He was a predator on a pilgrimage, planting the seeds of future chaos. He drove for thousands of miles, not to see the sights, but to bury sealed, weatherproof containers deep in the earth. Inside each container, he packed a curated collection of supplies, tools, weapons, zip ties, and bundles of cash. He called them his kill kits. Years later, sometimes a decade later, he would return to these forgotten plots of land, retrieve a kit, and begin the hunt. He would select someone. There was no discernible connection between his targets, no clear pattern to his movements, no explanation offered. There was only the chilling, empty space where a person used to be. He was a student of his own dark craft. He studied police work, devoured books on forensic science, and learned the art of invisibility. He never committed his crimes in his home state of Alaska, creating a geographical firewall between his two lives. When he traveled, he paid for everything in cash, leaving no credit card trails for investigators to follow. He would often turn off his cell phone for days at a time, creating digital black holes in his timeline. This wasn't impulsive behavior. It was a carefully constructed operational doctrine. He was methodical, he was calculated, and for over a decade, he was almost completely invisible. The world and the authorities within it remained blissfully unaware of the phantom moving through the quiet corners of the country. It was only after the disappearance of Samantha Koenig, a young barista from Anchorage, Alaska, that the world would learn his name, Israel Keyes. On February 1st, 2012, she was taken from the coffee stand where she worked, a kidnapping captured in stark, silent surveillance footage. For days, her family and the community held on to a desperate hope. That hope was momentarily amplified when her family received a ransom demand. The demand was followed by a photograph. In the picture, Samantha appeared to be alive, holding a current newspaper to prove the date. But it was a lie. She was already gone. The photograph was not proof of life. It was a masterpiece of manipulation. Keyes, in an act of supreme and horrifying control, had staged the entire image. Using makeup, he had painted her face to create the illusion of life. He had propped her up, placed the newspaper in her hands, and taken the picture himself. It was a calculated deception, designed to buy him time and to exert his dominance over the situation, over the family, over the investigation itself. He was controlling the narrative, scripting the final act of a play only he understood. It was a chilling testament to his emotional detachment, a need to maintain absolute authority, even after his victim was no longer there. When the FBI finally closed in on him in a Texas parking lot, the Phantom was finally given a face. Initially, he was just a suspect in a banking fraud case, having used the victim's debit card. But as investigators began to peel back the layers, they found something far more disturbing. He confessed, not just to Samantha Koenig, but to a string of other crimes spanning the country. Yet his confessions were as controlled as his crimes. He refused to give up the names of his other victims. He spoke about it in a flat, dispassionate tone. When asked why he wouldn't provide the details that could bring closure to grieving families, his reasoning was simple and brutal. He preferred their uncertainty. He preferred the silence. During hours of intense interrogation, he never broke. He sat across from seasoned FBI agents, often with a slight, unnerving smile on his face. He spoke about his actions with the clinical precision of an engineer describing a machine. He talked about burying his kits, about the long drives, about the waiting. He corrected investigators on their own theories, explaining his methodology. He said, "There is no one who knows me or who has ever known me, who knows anything about me, really. He spoke of choosing people not based on emotion or any personal connection, but on simple opportunity, bad timing, wrong place, wrong time. He revealed that he had buried his caches of death in New York, in Texas, in Vermont, and in Washington. He hinted at more, locations he refused to disclose. Some of those kits, packed and waiting, may still be out there, silent under the soil. On December 2, 2012, while in custody in his Anchorage jail cell, Israel Keyes decided to end the story on his own terms. He ended his own life, leaving behind a rambling, blood-scrawled note filled with cryptic poetry and expressions of frustration. It was a final act of control. There were no clear answers, no map to the bodies, no expression of regret. Just a final, slammed door. He had taken his secrets with him, ensuring that the silence he so valued would echo long after he was gone. He had stopped the clock. To this day, investigators and profilers are certain that there are more people, more victims whose disappearances were never linked to the traveling killer, more kits buried in undisclosed locations, waiting like unexploded ordnance from a forgotten war. And more families who are still waiting for an answer, trapped in the quiet torment of not knowing. The true number of lives he destroyed is a figure known only to him, a final secret he took to his grave. He didn't want to be remembered. He didn't want his name in the headlines. He wanted to disappear into the quiet anonymity from which he came. And in so many ways, he almost did. He didn't want fame, he wanted silence.